Alrighty then, this video will be a bit messy because there will be many things, so quite possible I will gonna get off my way with a talk and everything else, but this will be my life experience regarding my previous relationships and my karmic lessons and what conclusions I got from all that when I got on my soul journey, what mistakes I was making. And we all have our mistakes what we make during dating or being in a relationship with someone. Most of us, I'm not saying all of us, but most of us. And as I said, we are not perfect, same as the other person with whom we are interacting on that moment, and we all learn on the process. I'm glad if someone's relationships are strong enough to go through difficult times, and then obviously they have soul wisdom to know how to deal with the problems regarding everything. But as most of us in nowadays, we get together and after a while, for whichever reason, we break up. Most of the times breakups happen for two reasons. Either you see that those relationships don't lead anywhere anymore and there is no progress whatsoever. I mean, progress in whichever way, it's just like you live and nothing happens anymore, no progression in whichever way. Or other thing, what was most of the time my experience, people were cheating, or I found out that they were lying about something, or let's put it that way, people with whom I have been in contact, and that applies to friendships too. I've been cheated, I've been lied to, I've been abandoned, I've been ghosted, I've been abused, I've been, what else? Literally most of the things what could happen with me. So this is purely my experience, purely my thoughts, and purely my opinions, how I was dealing with the things, and I know that many people will find something similar in their own experience too. So I have a little draft over here, so time after time I will gonna look at it so I don't forget to say something. So the thing is, when I was 20, I was in a relationship with 11-year older man than me. Those relationships were 6 years. I was young, naive. I was still growing up, comparing to nowadays youngsters. And like, for instance, my students, when I talk to them, I'm sometimes thinking, oh gosh, I wish I would be so much more clever than they are at this point. But I wasn't. I was. But it all depends where I grew up, what circumstances I was in, and that always starts with a childhood as well, and with your parent, like role model as well. And and I had a childhood trauma as well, but I will talk about it later. So overall, all my choices from today's perspective, I can say, started with the fact that I was like really insecure about myself. I always had low self-esteem. I had lack of self-love, lack of self-respect. And therefore I was always in a way probably trying to prove my worth, because I thought the better I will be, the better I will treat someone, it will gonna show how good person I am, so no one will gonna hurt me because of that. But that's completely wrong as well, because we overwork all those issues because we don't work on our self-love. And that sort of, when you are on a low self-esteem, you attract people who like people with a low self-esteem, and they will gonna do and act the way how you expect them in a way to do or act. Because of like on the first relationships, those relationships were stable, but all I can say, other person was very dominant. Only his opinion was the right opinion. If I tried to put my opinion, I was put down like, you don't understand anything, you are just a child, and how you can say something different from what I think, you don't know anything about life and things like that. Keep in mind, he was only 30, I was 20, he was 30. Really? Seriously? You can't lower someone down just because they are younger than you. It's nothing to do with age, or just because your experience is the way it is, it doesn't mean that your opinion is the right one. So that's what always you have to keep in mind. Don't ever put anyone down simply because they think differently. We all agree to disagree. Simple as. Be respectful to other people's opinions. But he was like doing all that, and that lowered my self-esteem even more. And therefore, there was like, during those relationships, everything was stable. He never cheated on me. Everything was really stable. We materially, everything more or less were stable as well. And in the end, it turned out that anything, I got really fat back then as well. I always have been really slim, and then during that time I had some health issues and I got really fat, what made my self-esteem even lower. So I started to value myself less and less, and I started to realize that I was attached to the house and the garden what we had in a countryside. So that was like my small paradise where I was hiding what I love. No, don't get me wrong, I do love gardening. I love it. It's just one of my things what I miss at the moment, but it's not the point. It's the point that I became attached to the things or places, let's put it that way. And like, when I started to deal with my health issues, because it was unreal how quickly I was getting fat, and that just worried me big time. So after a few visits to doctors, I found out the reason of that, and I started to deal with that. So that got me to the point when I sorted out my health issues, and then I went to Weight Watchers to deal with weight issues. In a year time, I reached my goal, and I got back to the weight how I was when I started to be in relationship with him. And that was, then I started slowly to gain back my like self-esteem, self-worth a little bit, because I finally started to feel a little more pretty again, even though it's not about feeling pretty or slim or fit or things like that. It's all in here. I mean, like, you can, like, you know how people are. They can be as slim as they are and they still think that they are fat. It's different issues as well. But in my case, it was more about my self-esteem, my self-worth and things like that. So when I started to gain back my a little bit self-worth in looks, I started to realize how much unworthy the other person makes me feel. So and because after those 6 years nothing was changing, everything was going the same, and I should say even it was regressing in a way. I one day, with no drama, with no nothing, I just told him that I'm leaving relationships, and I left him. And after that, I got off the chain. I so wanted to prove that I am so pretty, I'm so great, that I started to go to meet people and everything. But the funny part was that no one really paid too much attention to me still. And that made me feel really bad, and I was like, why no one is looking at me? There were more girls who were even with a bigger weight, and everyone were around them. So that's the point. It doesn't matter how fit you look, if you feel not enough worthy, or if you don't project that self-esteem, or if you don't glow that you love yourself the way you are, you will not gonna attract anyone in any way. So, and then after a while, like in a half of a year, I met my kid's dad. He was younger than me, another opposite way, and the way how we met was really fun, really weird. I will not gonna tell that story now. But fact itself was, I got in a relationship with him, and it was on and off like for approximately 5 years. And that's where I found out how it is to be cheated on, lied to, and many other issues. So the point is, every single time when I was in, and then after when I started to date other people, it seemed like I was getting in my way people who were similar like my last ex. Like non-committal, they were going around, they always chose someone else over me, and it all the time was like, and I was living in a question mode. Why me? Why everything happens to me like that? Why no one loves me? Why no one chooses me? That was the first biggest mistake. Like in most of the relationships, we live in a victim mode. We live in a way that, how to explain it better, you so concentrate on pitying yourself and thinking about how no one loves me, no one does it, no one this, no one that, and instead of changing something, you carry on living in that victim mode instead of looking, what am I doing wrong? So that was going for years and years in my case, and because of all those issues, I started to get really controlling. My first ex was controlling over me. I got very controlling over my last ex, because I try to control how he do what is he doing, and in a way then you will say, no wonders he were going around cheating on you. But the thing is, control issues can be quite different too, but I will talk about it later. So why we have control issues in the end of the day? Because we live in a scarcity mindset. We have our pride and ego who is talking instead of us. Oh, I have to be the best. Oh, I have to be this. So I have to control the situation. He can't go do and this, or he can't go and do that. It's like our ego is speaking so loudly that we forget that we can't control anyone. If he wants to go, let them go. I mean, like, let them go, and just let them go. If they don't choose you, they just don't see your value. So it's no point to keep a person like that. And so in a way, when you get in that sort of strange mindset, when you are scared of unknown and everything else, you get like in codependency mode. Codependency from people who will gonna treat you exactly the same way. It's like two-way street. If you like to be in a victim mode, you will find someone who will abuse you non-stop. I mean, abusing not just in a physical. For some it's a physical way, for some it's a mental way. Abusion can be, abusive ways can be many different. Even the fact that they are going and cheating on you, it's abusive to your mind, abusive to your ego, and in that way as well. And other thing why it happens, because you don't have healthy boundaries in those relationships. You let them do that. I mean, you let them do that, and when they come back and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was drunk," or I didn't think what I was doing," or whichever excuse else, you are taking them back. Of course, everyone will say, "Yeah, but everyone deserves second chance." Fair enough, second chance. But if they repeatedly do that again and again and again, and you carry on taking them back with a stupid hope that they will gonna change their ways just because you have kids, or just because they say, oh, they love you, and you as a naive idiot believe that they do love you, then that is codependency from abuser who is abusing their position in your life. So I hope it makes sense so far. And the other thing, this, like, when people don't, like, you probably know people who are living like that for years and years and years, and they split up, then they go back, then again they split up, then go back, and they always have this excuse, oh, we love each other so much, we just can't live without each other. But then behind closed doors they are nearly killing each other, shouting every day to each other, like doing whatever. Those happy moments compared to bad moments are so, in a percentage way, so less. Than in the end of the day you ask, why are you still together? It's simply because both of the people sitting in a comfort zone, because it's easier. You know them, you know they will gonna start do this or that when you will gonna say this or that. It's harder to become just single and maybe to find someone else. And besides, when you split up, it's the hardest part, because you have to stay single for a certain amount of time to get rid of that energy what was in your life non-stop. And if they keep on coming back, that's already your lack of boundaries, when you can't say them, stop, no, don't come inside. It's my private life is now my private life, your private life is your private life. We are so codependent on each other that we don't let live each other anymore. It's like, oh, I need to spy what they are doing now. Oh, he's such a this or that, he's talking so much crap and everything else. You slag that person off, but on the next moment when there is like a slight chance to go back with them, you are straight away back. Hypocrisy, huge. So the thing is, why we have these low self-esteems and everything else. Either we have seen it already when we have been children, and we saw that in our parents' role model, how they were building their relationships, or it could go even way deeper, when if you can't remember the time when you have been really small, and if there has been some childhood trauma or abusive things, what's the worst case scenario. And that's why you grow up with this low self-esteem, with this sort of deep inside thinking that you don't deserve anything better than what you have seen or experienced, what is crap? Let's put it that way. You have to love yourself enough to get out of that. It's a hard work. It's bloody hard work. It's so hard. You can't believe how hard it is. So in the end, that's why it happens, like hurt people. And in a way, you are the one who is either always a victim, who is seeking for someone who will gonna hurt you, or you are, again, the person who hurts someone just because you are hurt as well. So it all starts deep within us. So in a way, I'm not trying to defend people who are abusive in whichever way, or who is cheaters, who are liars. I don't defend them, but I try to understand them. So obviously they have some sort of childhood issue or trauma inside of, deep down inside of them, what they even maybe don't realize, and therefore they are the way they are. I'm not defending them, I'm just trying to put the point, because as for me, I have been living in a victim mode way too long, until I realized that I have to get out of that mode, otherwise nothing will gonna change in my life. And this is another reason, like what I said in one of the previous videos, I choose to be single at the moment simply because I don't think I'm healed enough to attract someone who will gonna really treat me the best way possible. I improved, but like it's still big work to do. And the other thing, when we break up with someone, yeah, other thing is like quite often, especially if we think that we love so much that other person, we hope that they will gonna come back and we really want them back and things like that. And when nothing happens, we are just wondering why. But the thing is, like, don't live on a hold. Carry on with your life, especially if you start to heal yourself. Start with yourself, how to love yourself, how to deal with your own issues inside, and just let them go. Let them go. Do work on yourself, and don't live on hold waiting for something, because that's not a progression. You just live in one spot holding on to, like, clinging to something old. We all change all the time, non-stop. So don't hold for anyone. Do work on yourself. Just the other thing, when you will gonna start to love yourself, the best way how to realize, do you love yourself enough, or you still love yourself only exceptionally when you look great? If you look in nowadays in all the Instagrams, Facebooks, everywhere, even on the dating sites, you can see really one thing, what people usually do. They put a lot of selfies, a lot of photos of themselves, how they look great, whenever in a real life they actually look, especially with the filters. What is even that? Why do you have to pretend to be someone else that you are not? That means you don't love yourself. Plus, people are posting so enormous amount of selfies for what? For someone's like approval that you are looking good, you are sexy, you are whatever. It's like on a dating site you can see quite often things, you match with certain people but they never ever message you. It's how I call them, collectors of likes and matches, because that gives them this self-confidence boost. Oh yeah, they like me, I'm sexy, I'm this, I'm that. Really? Are you that sexy or likable person if you don't even, if you are so afraid even to start the conversation? So probably you are not that great when you talk. You probably don't have even anything what to say. What looks will gonna give to you? What exactly? You can't build relationships based only, exceptionally only on the looks. I have spoken to random people and they all look completely different, and some of them looked really great. When I started to talk with them, oh my god, it's like, really? How shallow you actually are. What's in your head? What's in your heart? Nothing. It's like you are only talking about outlooks. And those who always were telling me, oh, you are so sexy, at some point it gave me this, oh yeah, self, like ego boost. Yeah, they like me. But then at certain point, if something started to happen, it ended up simply because my inner self-esteem was still quite low, and it just showed, I guess, in some sort of action or words or something like that. And people, they always feel that, always. Now, since I got my self-esteem back, just recently on Instagram, someone messaged me really strange messages, and there was like, at first they said, oh, you're cute, and the next, and my opinion was like, yeah, if you say so, it's fine, you know. But I didn't give, because that was complete stranger and really dodgy account. And then when they didn't get attention from me what they expected, suddenly they said, oh, you are ugly as fuck. And I'm sorry, that's what they wrote. And I was like, charming. You know, I was just laughing about it, because someone stranger, like completely strange person whom I never seen, I even don't know them, they will gonna give opinion about me, how I look. I don't care. I actually don't care, because people whom I love, I care about their opinion. I will care. It's like, I mean, if they were gonna say, oh, you look really crappy today, and I will say, yeah, I know, because I haven't slept properly, and I know I have my blue like bags and everything under my eyes and everything else. I have, you know, like all these wrinkles and everything. I look so old today. It will not gonna even offend me, because I know they are truthful. But then in the same time, when they will gonna say you look great, I will tell them, well, thank you, I do feel great as well, you know. And it's like, it's a normal thing, it's a healthy reaction. You don't get offended. But if the stranger is telling me something about my looks or my personality, I don't care. You know why? Because they don't know me. They don't know me enough to judge me. That's my self-love to me. I will not gonna be bothered about someone else's opinion. How I look, what do I say? This is my point of view. If you can't talk to me because you don't understand me or you don't want to hear from me, don't talk to me. Simple. Bye. That's it. But this is how it starts, you know, like when you are not affected by someone's opinion about you, that's when you start. And it doesn't matter. Now, at this point, I'm not the slimmest, I'm not the fittest, and I'm not the most sexiest person on the whole wild world. It doesn't bother me. I love myself how I look. I know I can be more fit, I can be more slim, but I feel fine. Why should I go on a huge diet or do something drastic to myself if that will gonna make me unhappy on that moment just to look great? I feel great, even not looking perfect. And I know, like I already mentioned, my twin flame Shane, He was always, and I told him the same thing. He said, oh, I don't look great. In my opinion, he always looked great, no matter what. He has been the same as me. He has been bigger, he has been fitter, and his body looks changed many times as well. But I always seen him, I always liked him, I always loved him because I loved him. And I love him still. I mean, like, that's love what you can't change. I love him. Just because I don't like what he's doing at the moment, that's a different case scenario. But I love him and I always will. And it doesn't bother me. But the thing is, like, he doesn't love him. He loves himself only when he is the fittest. Because he thinks that's how he should be, that's how he looks great, that's how what is lovable. He doesn't love himself because he thinks he is lovable only when he is fit. No, he's not. I love him all the ways. That's the proving point that you don't love just outlooks. You love person. And if someone starts to pinpoint, oh, you have this bad, or you have ginger hair, you have freckles, you have whatever. Do you know what? I have student, she had like all face in a nice, like, it's freckles, right? The sun, like little, like how ginger people have these spots. She is beautiful. I saw her for the first time and I was like, oh my God, she is so beautiful. She has really beautiful face and personality. She is just inside out and like beautiful person. It doesn't matter. And some people are sitting the same with the same freckles and they look ugly. Why? Because they don't love themselves. She loves herself. She accepts herself the way she is. That's why she is shining out this confidence, this way how to love yourself. That's just an example. It doesn't matter how you look. You can be looking like a gothic people or heavy metal person, but if you will not gonna love yourself, everyone gonna look at you that you are ugly and not beautiful because they will gonna feel that you don't love yourself. This is something which you can't explain. It just comes in a like this vibration. When you love yourself, people start to go to you in a magnetic way just because they feel this confidence, this way how you love yourself. Since I started to improve myself, I can tell you honestly, before I was attracting really low vibrational people around me, and those people usually betrayed me, slagged me off, backstabbed me, lied to me, said nasty things to me without any good reason. But when I started to love myself, it was like whew, that's it. Most of them are gone. Because that was my choice. If they come across me with their negativity, I'm like, stop. That's it. I'm not even involving in that. Healthy boundary. That's how you start, with a healthy boundary. You put these healthy boundaries, you start to love yourself, and you will gonna start to attract more nice people around you. And all the negative people will gonna start to disappear out of your life because you are sending out so much positivity that low vibrational people, they just can't stand it. It annoys them, and what annoys them even more, that you don't pay attention to them. They can't cope with that, so that's why they are slagging you off. But then again, do you care? I don't. You shouldn't too. You know you. If you love yourself enough, love yourself the way you are, no matter what. So heal yourself, heal your issues. I know I keep on repeating all the same things, but it's like, better be single. Better, I'm not saying that being in a relationship is bad or something, and we all do mistakes and we learn and argue and everything else. But if you don't want to repeat the same type of mistakes like I had, like every single person who was coming into my life, I felt like I was repeating the same sort of scenario with everyone. Either they cheated on me, either they just ghosted me, or they just left me for someone better. so-called better, like even there is no one better or worse, it's just like they just change. But since I started to value myself more, I realized that people like that, even if they approach me, they quickly disappear. Why? Because I put these healthy boundaries. Or I just tell myself, I'm sorry, I'm not interested if you have only this or that to talk about. I mean, you have to feel that. And just, you have to, before you get in any type of relationship, you just have to first value yourself big time, so you don't attract people whom you don't need in your life. Maybe you will attract at first, and maybe that will be your way how you will recognize what you have to learn. But as long as you work on yourself all the time, it's fine. But especially if you break up with someone, don't get straight away into new relationship as a plaster. It will not gonna work out, I'm telling you straight away. You have to be single for a certain amount of time to heal from previous, to let go of previous energy. You have to just literally get out of that, go through this grieving process. What for everyone it is the same way. And the thing is, like, if you still feel that you keep on, for example, compare new person whom you just met with your ex, don't get involved too deep with the new person, because you haven't healed from previous one. New person is new person. You don't have to compare them. Only if you suddenly see the red flags the same as ex, and then you start, but then you have to start to think, what are you doing wrong? Why that sort of person is attracted to you again? All starts in you. So if you have any questions, you can always write down in the comments, and I will try to make another video with the same mumbling as now. Anyways, love yourself. That's clear message. Love yourself, and I hope you will not gonna repeat so much karmic lessons and cycles as I did so far. And I hope you will be, your soul, I hope your soul is way much wiser than my soul was, and that you will gonna get your happiness way much quicker than I did, because my happiness is already now, because my happiness starts with me. No matter how I look and no matter what happens in my life, I am happy, and that's the main thing. So have a great day, or have a good night, and if you fell asleep, I hope you will gonna have a good dreams. See you in the next video.